Thank you and welcome to the show this morning. The topic this morning is ministering in the streets of Nashville. And we have to talk about some of the activities among the people in Nashville to be ministered to by the two individuals that are with us today, Pastor K. Walker and Mr. T. Westmoreland. Marlowe, T. Marlowe, excuse me, Marlowe, and we're going to keep that in to indicate that Dr. Haney often makes mistakes, and though people can know it. But, and so what we'll do, Mr. Marlowe, is to have you and Pastor Walker to talk about some of the activities that you've been involved in dealing with, dealing with the people in Nashville in ministering in the streets. But before we get into that, Pastor, as you know, we want the two of you to give us some information about your background, your education, and some of your experiences, and then we'll get into ministering in the streets by the end of this first segment.
Well, good morning, Dr. Haney, and thank you for having us on the show again. It's always a pleasure to be here. Just, as you say, informative session of comments. Pastor Kelvin L. Walker, I'm the associate pastor at Fairfield Missionary Baptist Church under our senior pastor, Howard Jones, Jr. And born right here in Nashville, Tennessee. Pretty good parents, and they raised me right. I didn't act right, but they did indeed raise me right. Instilled in me good work ethics and all of that stuff like that, but I went astray, got caught up on drugs and alcohol, and found myself running around in the streets, man, at a young age, and it eventually led to a full-blown out drug addiction, which led me to being incarcerated in Tennessee State Prison System, you know, for a period of about 5 years of my life, just in and out of jails and institutions and things like that. But God got a hold to me back in 1986, on August 24th, 1986, snapped a 17-plus year drug addiction, called me from that into ministry, took me in seclusion, taught me some things, and just fed me spiritually. And I've been on the battlefield ever since. It's been 32 years now, working toward 33 years of just ministry and being set free. And, you know, and it's all about carrying the gospel.
And so you can tell us something about ministering in the streets today.
Ministering in the streets, on the streets, across the street.
Very good, everywhere. In
Yes,
other
sir.
words, where you might be able to reach those who have been neglected.
Yes, sir.
In a real sense. And of course, T. Marlowe is going to give us some information in reference to his background, education, and some of his experiences. And then we'll have an opportunity at the end of this segment to get into the second segment, which we'll talk about some of the other activities. Marlowe, what's your situation?
Thank you, Dr. A, for having me on your show today. My calling, I'm from Nashville, Tennessee, went to school in Nashville, Tennessee, had my share of ups and downs in the streets, prison life, the whole 9 yards. And my calling came in 2001 when I started my ministry. And up under today, up under our beloved Pastor Jones at Fairfield, he's taking me through minister training there. And the rest is me ministering in the streets where we would get into. And I just thank God for using me.
And so, Pastor, in a real sense, you and Marlowe are dealing with individuals that are literally in the streets.
Yes, sir.
In a real sense. And you think that you ought to be able to provide us some information in reference to what is going on in the streets. I think we all watch television and we see a lot of activity in the streets, but very seldom is there any information in reference to ministering in the streets and how people are themselves trying to go there and bring people out and save people. And so when we come back, Mr. Marlowe, what we want you to do during this second segment is to tell us how you became involved in ministering in the streets. We'll have about 6 minutes to do that and talk about your involvement and some of the things that are on your mind in reference to doing that, and then Pastor Walker will have an opportunity to sort of close us out for the day. And so that's what we'll try to do in terms of bringing everybody together in reference to that. Of course, this segment will be followed later on by another show that will have Pastor Walker and I think Minister Waller.
Yes, sir.
Dealing with essentially the same kind of information. So what we're trying to do is to get as much information as we possibly can to perhaps give directions in reference to the gospel and the streets. And so what we'll do, we'll take our first commercial break, and we'll be back with this following this very, very short commercial break. But now this is our 8-minute segment, Pastor. Now, this is where